Today on Rappler, the Commission on Elections cuts down advertising minutes of 2013 candidates. President Aquino says the opposition has more to prove to win voters. And the World Bank says the Philippines will post an average growth of 6.3% until 2015. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The Commission on Elections cuts down advertising minutes of candidates running in the 2013 polls. Based on a COMELEC resolution Tuesday, candidates for senator and party list may run 120 minutes TV advertising in all networks. The limit is 180 minutes for radio. COMELEC will begin counting the minutes on February 12th, the start of the official campaign period, up to May 11. The Fair Election Act limited TV advertising to 120 minutes, but does not say whether the limit applies to individual networks or across all TV stations. In the 2004, 2007, and 2010 elections, COMELEC declared the 120-minute limit applied to each TV network. For the 213 polls, the limit applies to all networks. Based on Rappler's computation, the revised rule gives each candidate 2 15-second ads per day per network. The question is, how will COMELEC enforce its new rules? In the 2010 presidential campaign, President Benigno Aquino and rival Senator Manny Villar exceeded their allowable time 2 months before the elections. Villar's wife, Cynthia Villar, who is running for senator in the 2013 election, says the revised rule is, quote, limiting, but they have to live with it.
Very limiting in some ways for the newcomers, but for the re-electionists, it's not that bad. But for me, I can live with that. You have more leeway if it's per network. This will be very limiting. So, but it's life. You just adjust to what is the ruling. We cannot go against it.
President Benigno Aquino takes a swipe at opposition United Nationalist Alliance, saying UNA launched TV ads and sorties earlier because it has, quote, more to prove. The president attends a Liberal Party event in Cebu where he comments on UNA's early TV ads. He says, we need to understand the other side, that they have more to prove than we do. He adds, so they have to catch up, hence the need to have all of these sorties at this point in time. Aquino also responds to criticism that LP is engaging in, quote, political persecution, referring to the 6-month suspension of UNA leader Governor Gwen Garcia. Aquino defends his party from the charge, saying it ensured all processes comply with the law. Senator Miriam Santiago's blood vessel in her eye bursts from hypertension after her TV interview on Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. Santiago appears on ANC Head Start's Hot Copy with Karen Davila on Wednesday. The senator talks about her criticism of Enrile for selectively giving out Senate funds, but excluding her and 3 other critics. During the interview, Santiago glares at the camera as she responds to Enrile's statement that she should leave to start her job as judge in the International Criminal Court. She says, I address this to my political enemy. Since you are a lawyer, read the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Santiago explains a newly elected judge needs to wait until a retired judge has finished all his cases. She adds, this is a non-issue, but it's being used against me because he just wants to get rid of me. The World Bank says the Philippines is expected to post an average growth of 6.3% from 2013 to 2015. In a report released Wednesday, the bank says strong domestic demand is expected to continue driving the Philippine economy. The Philippines is expected to have the 3rd fastest growth rate in the East Asia after China and Indonesia in the Pacific region. But the World Bank warns the region's openness makes it vulnerable to global risk. It says the region will shed about 1% of its GDP this year if the Eurozone debt crisis spills over. A 1.1% cut is also possible if the U.S. fails to resolve its fiscal issues. A series of shootings in January pushed calls for stricter gun control. But as Natasha Gutierrez shows, there are shortcuts to owning a gun.
How easy is it to buy a gun in the Philippines? I walked into a reputable gun store in Quezon City to find out for myself. Clueless, I said I wanted to buy a gun. This is what I picked, a .45 caliber Beretta, 39,000 pesos. The salesman assured me it could kill. When I said I wanted it, he handed me this paper. These are my requirements to obtain a gun license. Just a police clearance and some employment information. This, along with some forms I had to sign. The rest, no problem. He said the store would clear my drug test, my neuropsychiatric exam, and my gun seminar for me. All I had to pay was 5,500 pesos. This is not how the Philippine National Police describes the gun procurement and licensing process. Superintendent Lunel Fabio of the Licensing Division says the PNP has strict requirements before granting licenses. He says they regulate gun stores.
We issue the license to operate to these dealers, gun dealers, and they are required to submit reports on how they sell, whom they sell, and the manner of how they sell firearms.
It is clear that the policies of the PNP are not followed, or that they are not enough. This is a problem. PNP records show there are 1.6 million licensed firearms in the Philippines. Only a third of all licensed guns belong to the military and police. There are nearly 600,000 loose or unregistered firearms. The clamor to control guns intensifies, with the death of 7-year-old Nicole from a stray bullet and the shooting rampage in Cavite that left 8 dead. But President Benigno Aquino, a gun enthusiast, doesn't think a total gun ban but better implementation is what's needed.
Magandang headline, total gun ban. Ito. Pero knee-jerk reaction eh. Hindi ko galing mambola. Maghanap tayo ng paraan na talagang masosolve yung issue at hindi nagpapakit lang.
The Department of the Interior and local government says they are currently reviewing the licensing requirements for firearms and will recommend improvements to the President. Public officials acknowledge the need for stricter gun control, but it is not yet clear what these changes are. I just wish it weren't so easy to own one. Natasha Gutierrez, Rappler, Manila.
Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, Facebook announces a new service called Graph Search, which allows users to search through friend connections to find data like locations, likes, comments, photos, places, and interests. CEO Mark Zuckerberg calls this the third pillar of the Facebook ecosystem, alongside the news feed and timeline. Facebook updates the blue top bar where users can type in search phrases like people who live in Quezon City that like Rappler. The service is privacy aware, which means you only get results based on what you have access to. The Graph Search is still in beta and will roll out to users in the following weeks. At number 3, 82 people are killed and over 150 wounded after twin blasts ripped through a university in the Syrian city of Aleppo Tuesday. Most of those affected are students. Opposition activists say government jets carried out an airstrike, while a military official says rebels fired ground-to-air missiles. The state news agency says the blast occurred on the first day of exams. The education minister calls for a nationwide day of mourning. And at number 5, New York passes what supporters call the toughest gun ownership law in the country, becoming the first U.S. state to impose restrictions after last month's elementary school massacre in Connecticut. On Tuesday, lawmakers in the lower house of the state assembly vote 104 to 43 in favor of the measure. The upper house approves it in a 43 to 18 vote late Monday. Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo welcomes the assembly's, quote, bold statement to meet the challenges that face our state. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. He's super cool with his jacket, aviator, sunglasses, and helmet. Man's best friend is also this man's scooter passenger. Catherine Visconti reports.
Here's a dog who always has his owner's back. The 4-year-old Ascal perfectly balances behind his owner, even on sharp turns.
Desisyon ako na mag-alaga talaga ng aso para lagi ko makasama araw-araw para maging protection ko rin.
The dog has never the motorcycle, but once in traffic, he leapt off to tackle thugs trying to steal his owner's gold necklace. Gilbert says there's no secret behind their double act. It's about focused training and starting early. When the puppy was a month old, Gilbert bought him at a wet market for 100 pesos. At 2 months, he trains Bogey to fetch. At 4 months, to shake hands. And at 7 months, to ride on a motorcycle. At a year, Bogey learns how to bark on command.
Stop.
His owner can leave for hours and depend on Bogey to stand watch. But Bogey has become more than a guard dog.
Parang anak ko na siya siguro, parang ganun. Partner ko na talaga siya eh. Kumbaga, sa 4 years namin, halos hindi kami nagkakahiwalay araw-araw eh.
Bogey is well-traveled too. Gilbert brings him on family vacations to Ilocos, Baguio, and even Boracay. And he doesn't miss out on the fun when Gilbert takes a zip line. These two may look like the epitome of cool, but they have another side. On long rides, they listen to love songs. Gilbert crafted a special helmet outfitted with headphones. And this dog is not going to be arrested for violating the helmet law. The helmet, which Gilbert molded specially to the dog's head, is certified. Driving around Manila, keep an eye out for this super canine. The signature helmet, the tailored Ferrari jacket, and tinted aviators. Riding in tandem has never been this cute. Catherine Visconti, Rappler, Manila.
Hilarious. A restaurant owner's therapy for his bipolar disorder turns out to be a culinary adventure. Devin Wong tells that story.
Jethro Raphael embraces his disorder. It's not just the artwork, eccentric furnishings, or travel souvenirs throughout his home. Jethro is clinically diagnosed as bipolar. But it wasn't always easy. Jethro will tell you that the version of him you meet today was born of a series of accidental discoveries.
I just embrace it and just go with the flow.
He believes he was born crazy, but wasn't certain until he was clinically diagnosed.
I felt shame, I think lots of anger and resentment.
Jethro began researching alternative remedies for his condition. Then he realized that he could cook.
I discovered all these different kinds and types of food that are known for their mood-altering properties. And then I started designing my own diet, which I call the cuckoo diet.
Friends encouraged Jethro to share his culinary talent, and Van Gogh is Bipolar was born. Jethro runs the restaurant all on his own. He greets, cooks, serves, and happily entertains all his guests with his many stories. It may seem strange that guests are asked to follow a list of house rules when they arrive, but for Jethro, this is quite literally his home.
This is my home, my sanctuary, and I always say this is an accidental restaurant.
It's not just the food or intimate hospitality that keeps his loyal customers returning. His diners support his mission to raise mental health awareness in the Philippines. This small-scale operation has already received international notice, but Jethro maintains it's less about the food and more about the therapy.
It's healing me. So it's my best way to share whatever gift and experience I've had in this place. Cooking is part of my psychotherapy.
Jethro expects to keep running and making more accidental discoveries that hopefully his guests will find delicious.
I see my condition now as a gift more than a doomed curse. It's a gift. It just so happened that I'm different.
Devin Wong, Rappler, Quezon City.
Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have gotten the most votes on their mood meters. If we take a look today, it's a red day. Enrile and the gifts, story related to our stories today. Binay defends Enrile, that's why it's a Christmas gift. 85% angry, 7% annoyed, 5% sad. And another story related to our slew of gun ban stories and gun control stories. Aquino wants special treatment. 26% don't care, but 62% are angry. And the story that's gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter, government still keen on nuclear power, 69% angry. It is a very red day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Wednesday, January 16, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.